So it seems a little. These are side addressed. So it's a little loud in here, but I do have feedback letting me know that these are working. People are getting the audio.
Okay.
So just make sure you speak into the mic.
Absolutely.
Treat it like a radio appearance.
You got it.
So, all right.
I haven't done any of those.
No, haven't you?
I'm kidding.
I don't like to do radio. I'm so good looking. It's like a crime. All right.
Yeah, we have faces for radio.
I was trying to go the other way. All right. Hey, guys, I'm here with Jon Stewart. He's going to be seeking the nomination for Illinois governor from the Libertarian Party. Jon, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Great. All right.
And thank you, and hello to your listeners.
All right, definitely. Hey, we do actually have some live watchers.
Yeah.
So we're looking pretty good.
Okay, great.
This is going out. And all right, Jon. So, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself. Why you're seeking the nomination from the LP?
Sure. Chicago native, born and raised in Chicago. Currently live in Deerfield. Former professional wrestler from 1980s. Started when I was in college at Memphis State. I went there on a football scholarship. And stopped wrestling full-time in 93, became a wholesaler, automobile wholesaler, and now taking over my family's car dealership and some of our real estate and investment portfolio. And currently live in Deerfield, been married for 19 years. I'm a great wife, my wife Joanne, and we have three great kids. I have two daughters that are currently in high school, so my strategy is just to go in the basement and put a bed sheet over my head and hide for the next 5 years. So.
Okay. Well, better than a pillow firmly applied to the face.
Having daughters in high school is a lot more scarier than making speeches for running for Congress or being in a wrestling ring with half of my clothes off. It's raising daughters is far scarier than that.
Yeah, I'm right in the middle of that myself. I mean, I know I look really young, but I've got a teenager at home as well. So, Jon, we were having this conversation earlier. You were not a jobber. That you were a professional wrestler.
Oh, no.
You were the illustrious one.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, I wrestled. My biggest stint was from 88 to 91 with Vern Gagne on ESPN. I was their second heel behind Larry Zbyszko. Had a big program with Sergeant Slaughter, Yokozuna. Man. And my last match on ESPN was for the light heavyweight championship of the world against Rock and Roll Buck Sumoff. I didn't get it because I was going back to play college football, but and I wrestled for the WWF in '87 as the Beach Boy. So I only lost a couple of times, or I was only a jobber a few nights in my career. I was very lucky to always have a character and be be one of the stars.
You were in there, right? Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Yeah. So we have a guy that comes around our chapter. He's a wrestler. More of like a local promotion, I believe it is.
What's his name?
His name is Sean Soto.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that I don't know, what levels he's been in.
Yeah.
I know he's been in camps and stuff like that.
Sure.
And he talks about how brutal it is.
Yeah, I tell you what, the hardest part of being a professional wrestler was not what happened in the ring, but the traveling.
Oh,
I tell people, what was your last vacation? Oh, we went to Florida with the family. How was the traveling? Oh, they didn't have a rent-a-car. Our flight got delayed. The hotel wasn't ready. I'm like, we'll do that every single day.
Oh, man.
And then then go wrestle, repeat it again. There were some days. I remember in May of 1990, I wrestled for Jerry Lawler's organization. I wrestled for Vern Gagne's AWA. And I filled in for Shane Douglas for WCW with Johnny Ace as the Dynamic Dudes. And I was on the road for 29 days out of 30 days in May. I made a lot of money, but that's insane.
Yeah, you don't even remember that month, do you?
No, it's a total blur. And, my body's paid a toll for it. I just had spinal surgery last year.
Oh, wow.
I had deviated septum surgery 2 months ago, so I finally paid the checks that have come in. But, one of the fortunate things, if I can just say that, one of the things I'm proud of, and especially being a politician, is that, I never tried drugs. And to be in professional wrestling and not be an active drug user, and or not become an alcoholic, and 90% of my friends are dead. Being a professional wrestler from the 80s till now was like being a race car driver in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Every Sunday you went to one of your friends' wakes. I mean, literally.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And
I mean,
there are pictures that I have
where those guys are all living into their 50s, and that's about it. It's crazy.
Yeah, I have pictures where I'm standing with 5 or 6 guys, and I'm the only one alive.
Oh, God.
So that's pretty. I don't say that to impress anybody, but to impress upon that, I'm grateful that I didn't make $1 million, but I'm grateful I survived.
Right. Yeah. There's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
But getting back to the politics,
Sure.
I'll stand here and talk about sports all night, but there's other things going on.
Right.
You have been out of the politics game a little bit. Of course, you have been taking care of business at home and all that.
Correct.
Your last foray, you were with a different organization, if you will.
Sure.
You have been a LP member for a while.
Yeah.
What brought you over to the LP? Why do you think that your home is here rather than with one of the other older parties?
Great question. When I first was telling the other media outlet, when I first got into politics, I was actually approached by the Democratic Party. And then the Republican Party heard about it. This was in 97.
Okay.
And so I only bring up that story that I kind of learned about forming friendships on both sides of the aisle.
That's the second time he's borrowed that pen. He can keep it. It's not even mine. Sorry. I became a Republican because my parents were one. I grew up on the far northwest side of Chicago, the 41st Ward, which is the only Republican area of Chicago. Oh wow.
And as I made my foray into the Republican Party, which I think was a mistake, and I mean this sincerely, and I'm not throwing the Republican. No.
I'm not asking you to disavow your past.
No. Yeah.
Okay. I just want you to know that.
The problem with the Republican Party is if you're not white, gray hair, and rich, they really don't give you much time of a day. Where you can go to like the Democratic Party. The only thing I like about the Democratic Party, and they will at least help you financially.
Okay.
The problem with the Democratic Party is that I felt that I don't like giving people handouts. I'll give somebody a helping hand, but not a handout.
Right.
I mean, people have to stand on their own 2 feet. The problem with the Republican Party is, for the past 15 years, completely going against what the Republican Party stood for, in my opinion.
In your day.
Balanced budget, fiscally
Right.
conservative. Getting into the war with George Bush, that was it. The presidency of George Bush completely changed my mind. I actually voted for Barack Obama simply because I thought somebody with his power of the electorate could change Washington.
Mandate,
he didn't either. He doubled the debt. So here I am. I'm upset with George Bush for making the debt into $9-10 trillion, and then Barack Obama comes and makes it almost $20 trillion.
Right.
And that's when I called quits. I called it quits.
Back record-setting.
2011, I called and registered for the Libertarian Party. As a businessman, if you're a businessman, you have to be a libertarian, because one of the libertarian precepts is this laissez-faire, approach to business-to-business dealings. The paperwork and the regulations that, as a car dealer, that I have to tackle, my father and I, in the state of Illinois, would make somebody suck their thumb and sit in the corner. It is precluding me from conducting business. I just want to sell cars. My family business just wants to sell cars. I don't want to sit, and this is how I got running for governor. I was sitting there doing Illinois Department of Revenue filings on wholesale transactions. I wholesale 200 cars a year. So I'm doing these transactions on this bad computer-based program for the state of Illinois, and they don't want it. There's no money because it's wholesale, but they want the information. It's midnight, and on the TV in my office was the killing of that 7-year-old girl in Inglewood. And this Holocaust that's happening on the west side and south side of Chicago, coupled with the government debt of Illinois, I just said enough is enough. I have to at least try to do something, and I'm so proud to be part of the Libertarian Party. I'm so proud of the concept of this laissez-faire business approach, but in freedom, and I want to help expand this notion of freedom with the Libertarian Party. Because if you're $13 billion in debt, I don't think there's much freedom in that, fiscally or for your residents. When you have a Holocaust or genocide going on in a part of your state, I don't think there's much freedom that can be derived from that. When you have businesses and individuals fleeing your state and further drawing down the revenue that the state is making, putting more burden on businesses and individuals, I just don't think there's a lot of freedom in that. So that is one. I'm trying to expand this whole concept with the Libertarian Party of that freedom just isn't with the Bill of Rights and the amendments of the Constitution. There's a lot more that I think that we can be more inclusive to more people, more independents, more crossover voters with that whole knowledge of freedom just isn't there. Freedom is about being fiscally free. And you know, when you're paying 50% of your income to some sort of government or municipal tax, there's no freedom in that.
Right. Well,
and that's what I love about the Libertarian Party.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's a lot packed into what you just said. I can't find myself in disagreement with any of it. I will say, you know, like back to you saying you're filing this report, I just imagine you there. Like, what I'm thinking is, right, you're trying to comply with some law.
That's right. That's right.
The constant argument that we always hear justifying government is that they're keeping us safe, they're building our infrastructure, they're doing all those things. So you're working at midnight to try to comply with this law while running a small business, which is a completely thankless operation in a lot of ways. Obviously, the state's not going to be coming to try to help you out.
Right.
And you see that the state's not providing any kind of safety. You see people dying in the streets.
Because it was on the
like
TV. Great point.
Yeah,
exactly.
So the area that we're from down in the Metro East, we have East St. Louis is right in our area, and the per capita crime there is actually higher than in Chicago as well. So, I mean, we're right on board with that. I mean, the violence is crazy. We have to find a way to stop it.
You know, I employ a former gang member, high-ranking gang member.
Okay.
For 8 years. He's been a great subcontractor of mine. Got married, takes his grandkids to school in the morning. It's a great story. And I don't say that to pull on tarts. I'm just saying I walk my talk. I employed homeless, anybody that I think deserves a chance.
Right.
Said the greatest thing is, you want to stop the gang violence. What do you want these gang members to do? You got a job for them?
Yeah.
So when you have a state that is encumbered with $13 billion in debt, $129 billion in implied promises for future payments of pensions, and you have businesses fleeing the state, not providing more jobs, what do you say to the gang members that are killing each other? We have businesses coming to your area to give you jobs. There is no businesses coming. They're fleeing the state. So that's where that fiscal conservativity and the fiscal responsibility does tie in with the gang crime. It does tie in with the opiate crisis in central Illinois. It does tie in what's going on in East St. Louis. If you can't provide these gang members income and a job, the problem is going to continue to promulgate. And my other problem with Pritzker and Chris Kennedy, you know, the Kennedy family, the last gasp of the Eastern establishment, and Bruce Rauner, you have 3 billionaires. They couldn't find the south side of Chicago with GPS. You know, but they talk a big game. I'm going to go to the south side of Chicago.
For anybody not aware, Rauner is from Chicago. Is that correct? Okay.
Right. Couldn't find Inglewood with a Garmin in his car. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, you know.
Yeah. So I just heard the governor speak live in Madison County on Wednesday.
Right.
And I didn't realize he was a descendant of Swedish immigrants.
Right.
Automatically made me suspect how he ended up in Chicago instead of on the West Coast out, fishing.
Sure.
But anyway, that's neither here. Is that racist? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
So
I went to North Park University, which was like a Swedish Covenant school. So
oh, really?
I have some familiarity with the Scandinavian.
All right, so Scandinavian.
Yeah, so it's
Chicago.
a little,
All right. Okay, so all right, I missed the mark.
No, I'm
completely
not contradicting you.
No,
I'm saying
fine.
I'm interested because I have a lot of friends that were Scandinavian.
I'm always just interested, the way immigrants end up and wherever they end up. It's just kind of weird.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're looking at another country, you pick a place. I don't, so I have to find that interesting.
Sure.
At any rate, back to the gang violence. Of course, as libertarians, we point to the fact that the black market is so lucrative and that the prohibition of these illicit substances is what basically creates that market, creates that demand. Before drug prohibition in the teens and early 20s, of course, we didn't have this heroin epidemic.
Prohibition that actually created the mafia.
Right. Prohibition.
Sorry for quoting history.
Yeah. And Chicago, I'm sure you guys are. That was a great era for you
because
guys.
Everyone will stop drinking.
Right.
No.
Well, and of course there was opiate addiction prior to drug prohibition.
There was.
But there wasn't all the associated crime that came after it became illegal. So
was a lot of opiate, not just for your listeners.
Sure.
The opiate crisis really started to flourish from the soldiers coming back from World War I. They were given morphine. And it brought it back to the States and started that little tidbit.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, and obviously today we're still dealing with ineffective treatments for PTSD, veteran crisis. Yeah. That's a whole other topic we get into.
Sad.
As a veteran myself, I mean, I see this happen and it's tragic.
I think 30 veterans a day are committing suicide. Am I right in that?
Yeah, I think
it sounds high, but
it's low double digits.
If it's 4, if it's 2, if it's 1.
Yeah, right. That's the point exactly. I think it's officially 22, but
22.
It's 22 too many.
Veterans a day in America commit suicide. If that doesn't make you stop in your tracks, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's so we have all these certain things.
Yeah.
But I do want to get to the drug war.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on illegal drug prohibition? Do you take the libertarian position that we do need to have legalization in that space in order to cripple the black market?
I've told everybody, first of all, I'm not going to be a governor that is in favor of free flow and the free sale of marijuana. I'm going to sell it in the gift shops of the 2 casinos that I build when I become governor. So,
okay.
And I don't mean that by, I mean, I speak my mind. What I say, I walk my talk. I've never seen somebody smoke a joint and go up and beat their wife or rob a liquor store. I've seen that with people that are drunk or on some sort of a stimulant or or opiate or whatever. So and it's this look. It's not popular to deal with reality if you're a politician.
Right.
The reality is everything that you make illegal is going to just increase its taboo value.
Right.
And so, how do we stop the drug problem? I don't know if you can. That's number one. I don't think you're going to stop people from wanting to escape from whatever they want to escape from in life. Sure. I don't have a degree in counseling psychology. You have to be a little realistic about this.
Right.
But can you limit it? Can you control it to a point where it doesn't affect society, where somebody's not breaking in my house to steal something to get drugs? I absolutely believe so. So I think opening up avenues and laws to where drugs can be administered, and there are places in Europe where you can shoot heroin or do cocaine, and those people aren't in an alley. They're in a controlled space. They're gonna do it anyways.
Right.
What is we so it doesn't mean that I'm advocating it. It means that I'm trying to.
You're not endorsing the behavior.
Exactly. I'm not endorsing the behavior.
Right.
But I'm being realistic about it. So there's got to be some. You have to start with that mindset. Better police work, better border control, better education. Let me tell you something. My wife and I, we've said this a million times. That little drug movie we saw in 8th grade stopped me from ever doing drugs, stopped my wife from ever doing drugs, where they showed that beautiful girl and they showed her 2 years later on heroin. Stuff like that, that might sound trivial, but education is also part of the whole problem. Although I have a free stance, a libertarian stance on drugs, I don't want people to take drugs. I don't want to encourage it, and I certainly don't want to make it easy for them. That's all. Except for like marijuana, and I think some over-the-counter medications or some prescription drugs, even though that's becoming a little bit of an issue too. But that's
those are
people are going to do what
streets
people
too,
do.
Yeah.
Stay. When I close my door in my house, legitimately, stay the hell away and mind your own business unless I'm committing a crime. It's the end of the story.
Yeah. I certainly agree there. And of course, you mentioned the border. We don't have a border in Illinois, so that's not going to be part of something that we can influence necessarily.
No, you can't.
Yeah,
It's
and
true.
so what do you want the Libertarians of Illinois to know about Jon Stewart as we wrap up this convention, and then the next year or so, I don't have it exactly pinned down, before the nominating convention, between now and the nominating convention, what do you want the Libertarians in Illinois to know about Jon Stewart?
Number one, I'm going to work my ass off.
Okay.
Number two, I'm going to do anything I can to get in the car, get in an airplane, and go around the state and personally meet as many libertarians, but also personally meet as many farmers, factory workers, business owners, merchants, school teachers, firemen, police officers. Right. I am. That's one of the things. If I might bring him up, Brian Lambert and I talked about. Brian is one of your executive, on the executive committee. Yeah. He said, I think you're going to be a great candidate. Are you going to go around the state? Yeah. Are you going to put in the time? And I'm going to put in the time, and I'm going to put in the legwork. And I'm not going to. And again, I walk my talk, and I want people in this party to hold me accountable to that. I will be available. I've already told my family, my wife, and my children that there's going to be a lot of weekends where I'm going to be, whether it's going to be in Pekin or Carbondale or LaSalle, Peru, Kankakee, Rockford. Jon Stewart is going to be out there meeting people and getting to know people and showing people, most importantly, showing the voters, not only in the Libertarian Party, that I care, that I'm willing to go out there, that I'm not Pritzker. I'm not a billionaire Kennedy and Rauner that's going to go around in a $900,000 bus and tell the farmer and his wife in Pekin that they really know their struggles. Because that's ridiculous. Number two, be excited if you're a Libertarian, because there isn't a time in 50 years that a third party has a better chance of winning the governorship than right now. We're $13 billion in debt. Obviously, you can look at any voter and say the Republicans and Democrats do not have the answer. If they did, we wouldn't be $13 billion in debt. So the people are going to look for a third party. They're going to look at me. They're going to see a guy that's been married for 20 years, a nice family, a family-owned business that's been in the same corner, same location, same neighborhood for 30 years, Better Business Bureau rated A+. You're not a used car dealer, a good one and an honorable one. If you stay in the same location for 30 years, you're doing something right. You're treating the people right. They don't want an insider, but they're going to want somebody experienced. That is the difference between me and my two candidates. My one candidate, Cash Jackson, is kind of a one-issue person, and Matthew, who's become a great friend of mine, I don't think he's ready for prime time yet because he's never run a race. I've ran 2 congressional races, both of them covered by the national media. I've been on national TV discussing my congressional races. I can get the media attention. We as a party aren't going to have $10, $15, $20, $30 million to put in this race. So we are going to need a candidate that can get free publicity. And the only way to do that is the media. And when they hear the pro wrestlers running again, I've always enjoyed a nice relationship with the media in Illinois. I still do. I always will. I'm a gentleman. I speak from my heart, as I think I'm doing now.
I think you are.
And I'm going to get that media attention again because the media is going to look for an alternative also. And I'm going to speak my mind, and I'm going to taking the gloves off with Pritzker and Kennedy and Rauner, and I'm going to hit them what I think is they are completely out of touch as billionaires. And I'm someone that's in the trenches with my sleeves rolled up. I work every day, and I think that will resonate with the voters. And the Libertarians need to understand that.
Yeah, okay. Again, I can't disagree with anything you said there. So here's the thing. I know you're probably going to get, you might feel like there's a lot of pushback, and we're trying to hold this race close to our chest. And, I want to tell you that the main reason for that is a little bit of a hangover from 2014. And I don't know if you saw that or
I
you were
did.
A party member at that time.
I did.
And when someone asks you,
give me somebody to vote for, not him.
Yeah, because that the candidate that we had then didn't collect one signature for his own nomination. He didn't put in one day of work that I'm aware of.
Right.
Perhaps he did, and I just don't know about it. So don't hold me to that. But, so we do have a hangover, and we have seen threats from the outside.
By the way.
Sure, absolutely. And we have had threats from other people. I say threats, but we're very protective of our brand because we do have people. I don't know why you would come to us if you're not a libertarian, okay? Because it's not like, all 40 of us here are going to endorse you or whatever. But we have had people kind of looking across the line, and we're thinking, okay, we need to protect ourselves from these people because they definitely don't hold our values, and we can't have them carrying our banner. So that's not really a question. I want to say that's what.
Well, I like to discuss that.
We've got a comedian.
Yeah.
And he'd like to have a microphone, but it looks like they're packing up their microphone.
Oh, those guys are rolling up stakes? We've got this other mic right here we can hook up. Your microphone, as a matter of fact. Oh, Lex.
I just want to say to that, I contacted the Libertarians in 2006 when Barack Obama was running. He got Jack Ryan out of the race.
Yeah.
The Republican Party insulted me by saying, we're not going to even consider you unless you have $6 million to put in the race. And then they get crazy man
Alan Keyes.
Alan Keyes.
Yeah.
And that's when I called the Libertarian Party in Illinois. I don't remember who I talked to. This was way back in 2007.
It was a different party back then.
Yeah, I understand. But I've been a party member since 11. This
Yeah.
is my last race. This is my swan song. I'm not looking to do anything else except, run for governor, and I hope I make it and serve 2 terms. And, but I think the Libertarian Party also, my opinion is that, not a lot of people are libertarians. So holding your cards to your chest is great. We also need to have this policy of say, hey, come on in, hear what we have to say, maybe join our party. And that's going to continue to grow the party. And that's what I want to do and help is grow the party too, especially with my candidacy.
All right, great. We're going to start to be a little bit of a distraction for the comedian here.
Okay.
Jon, it's your mic. Is there anything you want to say, to people listening before we?
I just want to say that it's been I've had tremendous support already. Everyone has been so kind and gracious to me. I hope they choose me. I'll work my butt off. I'll do whatever I can to get as much attention onto the Libertarian Party. I will always bring a sunny smile, optimism, and bipartisanship. And I won't embarrass anybody, and I'll make everyone proud of myself and of the party. And I promise you that.
All right, great.
Okay?
Jon, thanks
me.
for joining me.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.